In last night's win over the Boston Celtics, the Golden State Warriors proved their one main advantage that they have over the Boston Celtics in this series. Now, before I talk about the Warriors, let's shift this to the Boston Celtics side of things. I told you I told you after game 1, the Warriors are still going to win this series, and a big part of it is going to be because you are not going to be able to rely on getting 50 points a game between Derek White and Al Horford. Al Horford had 26 in game 1, Derek White had 24 in game 2. You compare that, or in game 1, Derek White had 24 points. You compare that to game 2, Derek White had 12, Al Horford had 2. I don't think Al Horford took a shot until the third quarter. And listen, Al Horford's just not the kind of player anymore in his career to be putting up games of 10 to 15 shot attempts. And it's not something that the Celtics should want either. A majority of the shot attempts should be coming from Tatum, should be coming from Jaylen Brown. And then afterwards, if there's shots for Marcus Smart, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, even a little bit of Al Horford, it's just not the main option for Boston to have Al Horford go for 26 points. But shifting this to Tatum, he had 13 assists in game 1. He played, from a scorer's perspective, his shooting percentage so far, he is 11 of 36, well below 33%. And even though he had 28 points in game 2, he had by far the worst plus minus of anybody on the Boston Celtics. He was a minus 36. The only player that was anywhere close to him was Derek White at minus 17. Now, I don't know if plus minus is the most effective stat to look at in the world, but it does show that when Jason Tatum was on the floor, the Boston Celtics were a minus 36 in the scoring column. Now, what does Boston do from this point on? Well, this is just the way that the Celtics have played throughout the postseason. And I'm not going to take this as far as to say, based off game 2, the Golden State Warriors are going to win this in 5 games. I still stick with my original prediction of Warriors in 6. But what you have to understand from both sides of this is that Boston has done this all playoffs, right? They've had games where Marcus Smart, look at the game where Marcus Smart came back in the Miami series. He played an incredible game, and then the next game he pretty much put up a dud. That's basically what he did in game 1 and game 2 of this series as well. Robert Williams, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Robert Williams. I think that play where Marcus Smart kind of got thrown into the side of his knee, that's something that could have been pretty serious. And it probably is serious still, and we just haven't heard about it yet. Either way, they're going to need Robert Williams to be able to win this series because the perimeter defense of the Boston Celtics, it has not been good enough to be able to stop the Warriors from, penetrating and kicking out to open shooters. But the main advantage that the Warriors are going to have over the Boston Celtics, and this is what Draymond Green portrayed perfectly from when he tied up Al Horford in the first 10 seconds of the game last night to just Draymond throughout the entire game. The Golden State Warriors are going to be able to do things to the other team to just piss them the fuck off. That's exactly what the Warriors have done for almost 10 years now, is they're going to do things to piss you off. Draymond Green's going to run into you and somehow get the foul called on you. He's going to truck you over. Ask Grant Williams what happened last night. He's going to run you over and get you the foul called on you. Not only is that going to happen, he's not going to shoot a single damn shot. There's nothing more annoying than a guy in a basketball game that just pisses everybody off and never scores. Because what are you going to say to Draymond? Are you going to be like, well, you don't score? He knows he doesn't score. He loves the fact that he doesn't score. I think if Draymond Green had a whole entire NBA playoffs where he didn't shoot a single jump shot, he would think he probably played the best postseason run of anybody in NBA history. That's just the way Draymond works. And he's been more effective at never shooting shots than almost anybody in NBA history. He's on the level in terms of value of guys who just don't take shots. Same value as guys like Dennis Rodman and players who just, they don't need to shoot the ball to be one of the best players on the floor. Now, what Draymond still did, even though he doesn't shoot the ball, he made some of his free throws. That was an issue in game 1 for 3 in game 1. He goes 5 of 7 in game 2. I think a big part of what the Golden State Warriors want to do with Draymond on the floor is he just needs to be aggressive no matter what he's doing. And he showed that throughout the entire game last night, is that he was going to be aggressive. The other thing that the Warriors are going to be able to do for the rest of this series that Boston can't match this because they've never seen this before. Boston's never seen a team be able to play with this much physicality and be able to play with this much intensity in an entire series. Boston's never seen this. And I don't mean Boston's franchise. I just mean Boston in terms of what their team looks like now. Tatum hasn't seen this. Brown hasn't seen this. Marcus Smart hasn't seen this. I mean, look, Marcus Smart versus Steph Curry was supposed to be the key matchup of this series. And Marcus Smart has been pretty much, done away with every single time Steph Curry has the ball. Steph Curry had 34 in game 1. He had 29 in game 2. And even the guys off the bench for the Golden State Warriors, like Gary Payton, like Jordan Poole, they were having a really effective game last night. Now, one point that I probably was kind of wrong about when I did talk about why the Warriors were going to win the series still, I talked about Jordan Poole. And I said that, he almost needs to be taken out of the lineup. And I still feel last night in his game, there's moments where Jordan Poole just, I don't know. I think what I said about Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, about them not seeing this before, I think that's something that should be said about Jordan Poole as well. He's never been put in this kind of position before in the NBA Finals. And what he did last night, it's nothing short of incredible for him to provide 17 points off the bench. He's never going to be a great defensive player, and he's never going to be an intimidator on that side of the ball. But for him to just buy in and just give effort, that's all the Warriors are asking, is to give effort defensively. And he gave a lot of effort last night. And I really think that is going to be the tipping point for why the Golden State Warriors are going to win this series. Now, Boston's going to win at least one in Boston. I don't see it getting to a point where either Boston is up 3-1 or Golden State is up 3-1. There's going to be a really ugly game in Boston. It's going to be really ugly because, it's just in Boston. And things in Boston, they get a little rowdy, have a chance to get ugly. But you mix that in with the fact that they are going to be, the Golden State Warriors are going to play the exact same way. Draymond Green is going to play the exact same way. He's going to get under Grant's skin. He's going to get under Jalen's skin. He probably got under Al Horford's skin last night. It's just Al Horford is one of the most respectable guys in league history to where he's not going to show his, anger or his pissed off face. For the Celtics going forward, though, if Robert Williams is not going to play, and the play last night, like I said, where Marcus Smart kind of got thrown into the side of Robert Williams' knee, that's something, if there's no Robert Williams, there's nobody really to stop any sort of penetration after it gets to the paint. Because who's going to be a shot blocker for this team? Is it going to be Al Horford for 30 minutes a game? I don't really think so. And even then, I think defensively what the Golden State Warriors are able to key in on is this Boston Celtics team throughout the entire postseason has been one of the most turnover, sloppy, they look like a team of 20-year-olds that just got into the NBA. They don't look like Jason Tatum has been in the league for 6 years. They don't look like Jaylen Brown has been in the league for 7 years. They don't look like Marcus Smart has elevated to being one of probably a top 10 point guard in the NBA. All of these guys are so turnover prone that when you go against a team like Golden State And when they went against a team like Miami in the conference finals, that's just going to pressure you, throw guys after you. Even Steph Curry is at a point right now where he's locked in defensively. He's going to be swiping at the ball. He's going to be trying to jump passing lanes. Everybody on the Warriors now is ready to lock in defensively. Now that Gary Payton is back as well, that's just another guy for them to throw at Derek White or Peyton Pritchard or Marcus Smart or even Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum in certain situations. Boston last night had another game with 18 turnovers. Compare that to 12 with Golden State. It's something Boston can't do, but they've proved throughout the entire playoffs that it's something they can't stop doing, is throwing the ball away. And it's dumb, it's dumb passes. It's really dumb passes. Some of it is Golden State is just really smart and they're playing really hard defensively. But some of it is Boston just doesn't look like the veteran team that they are. I still hold my original prediction. Listen, this series can go either way, and I wouldn't really have too much of a differing in opinion on whether I wanted Golden State or Boston to win. I think Golden State still is going to win in 6. Like I said, I think this series shifting to Boston. Boston has to win one, of course, but Golden State's not going to lose 2 in a row in Boston. I see them getting game 3 and then probably losing game 4. And then, either way, Golden State in 6. If Boston keeps on turning the ball over like they are, and if Robert Williams doesn't play, there's even a chance Golden State wins in 5.